hand and began his defense. King Agrippa, I consider myself especially fortunate that I stand before you today as I offer my defense against the charges the Jews have brought against me. This is because you understand well all the Jewish customs and controversies. Therefore, I ask you to listen to me patiently. Every Jew knows the way of life I followed from my youth, because from the beginning I was among my people and in Jerusalem. They have known me for a long time. If they wanted to, they could testify that I followed the way of life set out by the most exacting group of our religion. I am a Pharisee. I am a Pharisee. Today I'm standing trial because of the hope and the promise God gave our ancestors. This is the promise our 12 tribes hope to receive as they earnestly worship day and night. The Jews are accusing me, King Agrippa, because of this hope. Why is it inconceivable to you that God raises the dead? I really thought that I ought to oppose the name of Jesus Christ the Nazarene in every way possible, and that's exactly what I did. I locked up many of God's holy people in prison under the authority of the chief priests. When they were condemned to death, I voted against them in one synagogue after another. Indeed, in all the synagogues, I would often torture them, compelling them to slander God. My rage bordered on the hysterical as I pursued them even to foreign cities. On one such journey, I was going to Damascus with the full authority of the chief priests. While on the road at midday, King Agrippa, I saw a light from heaven shining around me and my traveling companions. That light was brighter than the sun. We all fell to the ground, and I heard a voice that said to me in Aramaic, "Saul, Saul, why are you harassing me? It's hard for you to kick against a spear." Then I said, "Who are you, Lord?" "I am Jesus," the Lord replied. "I am Jesus, whom you're harassing. Now get up, stand on your feet. I have appeared to you for this purpose, to appoint you as my servant and witness of what you have seen and what I will show you. I will rescue you from your own people and from the Gentiles. I am sending you to open their eyes. Then they can turn from darkness to light and from the power of Satan to God and receive forgiveness of sins and a place among all whom are made holy by faith in me." So, King Agrippa, I wasn't disobedient to that holy vision. Instead, I proclaimed first to those in Damascus and Jerusalem, then to the entire region of Judea and to the Gentiles. My message was that they should change their hearts and lives and turn to God, and that they should demonstrate this change in their behavior. Because of this, some Jews seized me in the temple and tried to murder me. But God has helped me right up to this very day. Today I stand here and bear witness to the lowly and the great. I'm saying nothing more than what the prophets and Moses declared would happen, that the Christ would suffer and rise from the dead, and a change of heart and life for the forgiveness of sins must be preached in his name to all nations. A change of heart and life, that the Christ would suffer, and that as the first to rise from the dead, he would proclaim light both to my people and to the Gentiles. At this point in Paul's defense, Festus declared with a loud voice, "You've lost your mind, Paul. Too much learning is driving you mad." But Paul replied, "I'm not mad. most honorable Festus. I'm speaking what is sound and true. King Agrippa knows about these things, and I have been speaking openly to him. I'm certain that none of these things have escaped his attention. This didn't happen secretly or in some out-of-the-way place. King Agrippa, do you believe the prophets? I know you do. Agrippa said to Paul, are you trying to convince me that in such a short time you've made me a Christian? Paul responded, whether it is a short or a long time, I pray to God that not only you, but also all who are listening to me today will become like me, except for these chains. The king stood up, as did the governor, Bernice, and those sitting with them. As they left, they were saying to each other, this man could have been released. This man is doing nothing that deserves death or imprisonment. Agrippa said to Festus, this man could have been released if he hadn't appealed to Caesar. Chapter 27. When it was determined that we were to sail to Italy, Paul and some other prisoners were placed in the company of a centurion named Julius of the imperial company. We boarded a ship from Adramatium that was about to sail for ports along the coast of the province of Asia. So we put out to sea. Aristarchus, a Macedonian from Thessalonica, came with us. The next day we landed in Sidon. Julius treated Paul kindly and permitted him to go to some friends so they could take care of him. From there we sailed off. We sailed along the coast of Cyprus, using the island to shelter us from the headwinds. We sailed across the open sea. Off the coast of Cilicia and Pamphylia and landed in Myra and Lycia. There the centurion found an Alexandrian ship headed for Italy and put us on board. After many days of slow and difficult sailing, we arrived off the coast of Cnidus. The wind wouldn't allow us to go farther, so we sailed under the shelter of Crete off Salmone. We sailed along the coast only with difficulty and came to a place called Good Harbors near the city of Lycia. Much time had been lost, and the voyage was now dangerous, since the day of reconciliation had already passed. Paul warned them, "Man, I see that our voyage will suffer damage and great loss, not only for the cargo and ship, but also for our lives." But the centurion was persuaded more by the ship's pilot and captain than by Paul's advice. The majority supported a plan to since the harbor was unsuitable for spending the winter, the majority supported a plan to put out to sea from there. They thought they might reach Phoenix and Crete and spend the winter in its harbor, which faced southwest and northwest, when a gentle south wind began to blow. They thought they could carry out their plan. Before long, a hurricane strength wind, known as a northeaster, swept down from Crete. The ship was caught in the storm and couldn't be turned into the wind. So they dropped the anchor and let the ship be carried along. They dropped the anchor and let the ship be carried along. After sailing under the shelter of an island called Cauda, they were able to control the lifeboat only with difficulty. They brought the lifeboat aboard, then began to wrap the ship with cables to hold it together. Fearing they might run aground on the sandbars of the Gulf of Syrtis, they lowered the anchor and let the ship be carried along. For a long time, no one had eaten. Paul stood up among and said, "Men, you should have complied with my instructions not to sail from Crete. Then we would have avoided this damage and loss. Now I urge you to be encouraged. Not one of you will lose your lives, though we will lose the ship. Last night, an angel from the God to whom I belong and whom I worship came and stood beside me. The angel said, 'Don't be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar. Indeed, God has graciously given you everyone sailing with you. Be encouraged, men. I have faith in God that it will be exactly as he told me. However, we must run aground on some island.' On the 14th night, we were being carried across the Adriatic Sea around midnight. The sailors began to suspect that land was near. They dropped a weighted line to take soundings and found the water to be about 120 feet deep. After proceeding a little farther, we took soundings again and found the water to be about 90 feet deep. Afraid that we might run aground somewhere on the rocks, they hurled out 4 anchors from the stern and began to pray for daylight. The sailors tried to abandon the ship by lowering the lifeboat into the water, pretending they were going to lower anchors from the bow. Paul said to the centurion and his soldiers, 'Unless they stay in the ship, you won't be saved from peril.' So the soldiers then cut the ropes of the lifeboat and let it drift away.